there.
All right, all right.
Is that working?
Is that all right? Is this working here? Can you hear me okay? All right. First of all, I want to thank everybody for being here today. As many of you know, I served back in the 70s, went on a 32-year hiatus, and had an opportunity to see how things worked in the past, and quite frankly, how they're not working today. So I've taken this 2-year period when I've been here to carefully examine and analyze and figure out as best as I can how things have changed and what we might be able to do to make them better. But before I begin with that, I want to thank Shane Larson from the Communication Workers of America for being here. Aaron Sherb from Common Cause. Where's Aaron? There he is, right? Thank you for being here. Craig Holman, Public Citizen, and Liz from the Food and Water Watch, and the many other people here who are supporting what we are trying to accomplish. The simple truth is that the Congress is dysfunctional. It is broken. It doesn't work. It doesn't fix things. It doesn't get things done like it once did for hundreds of years in this country. And bipartisanship has become a thing of the past, and it's not good for America. This Congress is the most unaccomplished Congress in the history of the country. Harry Truman ran against the Do-Nothing Congress in '48. They make this Congress makes that Congress look like a bunch of overachievers, quite frankly. And the fact is that this Congress isn't getting it done. And things have changed, and they've got to change. The answer, the fix to this problem, is to change the way we do politics in America. And I've been meeting with a group chaired by Congressman Larson on a weekly basis to look at the kind of election reforms, legislative reforms that could bring about the kind of change that we need to get our country back on track. And any one of a number of members and organizations have proposed solutions, any one of which by itself would be a dramatic improvement in the way we do politics in this country. What my bill, House Resolution 659, House Resolution 659 does, is attempt to pull all of those measures together into a blueprint that will bring about the kind of change in the way we do business and the way we do politics to get the country back on track again. And it starts with calling for a reversal of Citizens United. Corporations are not people. Money is not a vote. And the fact is that money has become a terribly corruptive influence in our politics. Citizens United needs to be reversed. And we need to complement that with a system of private-public financing for campaigns, whereby small donors can make contributions and have that complemented with public financing so that members of Congress are beholden to the public, not the most well-financed special interests. Political scientists study this business, and they have found that generally the ones with the most money get the most votes. And I'm quite certain that's not what our founders had intended. Thirdly, what my bill does, it calls for spending limitations. In fact, I'm calling for a limitation of no spending on campaigns and elections prior to 60 days before an election contest. Most Western democracies have rules to that effect. I'm not sure what the magic number is, if it's 60 or 90 or 30, but I know, and we all know, that it's not 365 days out of the year every year. A limitation is reasonable. It's been tried in quite successfully in other Western democracies, and we need to do that here as well. Fourthly, we need to put an end to fundraising when the Congress is in session. There are states that do that. My state of Minnesota has a prohibition on fundraising when the legislature is in session. And it's a well-known fact, both the Democrats and Republicans have call centers across the street, and it's well known that the pros recommend a pretty substantial amount of time be spent over there. And clearly, when the Congress is not getting its job done, and too many of the members are across the street raising money, it's time for a change. It's time for a prohibition on fundraising when the Congress is in session. It's time that when the members of Congress come to Washington, they go to work on the people's business, not spending all their time raising money for their own re-election campaign. Fifthly, gerrymandering has become a terrible problem in this country. My colleague here, Alan Lowenthal, has been working on trying to put together a federal plan whereby congressional districts can be reapportioned by independent commissions. The fact is, there are 435 congressional districts in the country, and only about 35 of them are competitive. We need to find a way to make sure that all 435 districts in this country are competitive. So it will encourage members to come up with their best ideas for creating jobs, for growing our economy, for fixing things and getting things done. And that has to be a part of this solution. Sixthly, we need to put an end to these voter suppression efforts that are taking place around the country. A true democracy is one that maximizes opportunities for people to vote and to participate and to become a part of the process, and perhaps online registration, again, something that we have in Minnesota, where we have the highest voter turnout, quite frankly, of any state in the nation, is something that we need to spread throughout the entire 50 states. And last but not least, we need a return to what is known as regular order. Regular order, that's the process. That's the process whereby legislation that comes to the floor of the House ultimately, hopefully ends up on the president's desk, comes through the subcommittee, the full committee, the committee of the whole, and the conference committees. My staff did a little research. We found that when I served in the past, we had between 7,000 and 8,000 of those kinds of meetings, of which 500 to 1,000 were kind of procedural. You know, naming a post office, reauthorizing Soapbox Derby Day, giving a gold medal to Jack Nicklaus for his success in golf. And that stuff's all right. There's nothing wrong with any of that. But that's not taking care of the people's business. And so we need a restoration of regular order. This Congress, the first half of this session, had a little over 500 of those meetings, most of which were procedural. So recently, for example, the House just passed a reauthorization of the Highway Transportation Bill, not by the Transportation Committee, no, by the Rules Committee, and funded it by taking money from people's private pension funds and from the Customs Trust Fund. Like we don't have any problems in customs at the border in this country. So 8 months from now, working people all across the country, there's going to be a shortage in their pension funds. We still haven't fixed the border problems, and we haven't fixed the transportation problem. So we need a return to regular order, and whereby, with the exception of national emergencies, for legislation to come before the House of Representatives, it has to come through the full committee process. So what we've outlined here is a blueprint. Like I said from the beginning, any one of which of the seven items would be a dramatic improvement. But if we put it all together, if we reverse Citizens United, if we have private-public financing, if we have spending restrictions, if we prohibit fundraising when the Congress is in session, if we have redistricting formulas so all the districts are competitive, if we have online registration to put an end to voter suppression, and we have regular order, we will witness in this country, in my judgment, a golden age of democracy and accomplishment, of bipartisanship, of getting things done, and we will once again become a model for the world that the American experience has been. And that's what this blueprint is all about. Thank you all very much. I appreciate your being here. I would also like to acknowledge the ranking member of our Judiciary Committee, a dear friend of mine for many years, and one of the great people in American politics, Congressman John Conyers. And John, if I would sure welcome Al, if you'd like to say a few words. And John, would you bless us with a few words too?
Oh gosh.
Please.
Rick, good job.
Oh, thank you.
Top of the morning. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I just want everyone to know that we've got to get rid of Citizens United. That's what I think created our problem, and we can do it. There are way more working class, middle class people that want the change and want more democracy in our electoral process. I've been, the only other thing I'd want to add is that there's so many restrictions being put on by states on the voting process that we've got to really unite to get some of them unleashed. We want more people to participate in voting rather than less. And I congratulate you both for the great work we're doing. And this is a message that's got to get out, especially during these last 4 weeks before November 4th. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Thank you, John. Well, I'm really glad to be here and to support House Resolution 695 by my dear friend Rick Nolan. You know, in listening, before I make some points, in listening to Rick, you know, this has been the most rational discussion, not only in terms of what the problems are, but really a blueprint of how we restore democracy. And you know, no matter where you go in this country, the faith in democracy in our democratic institutions is at an all-time low. Why? Our districts are gerrymandered, our voting laws are discriminatory, our elections are filled with unlimited amounts of money. Our members spend, as Rick pointed out, an inordinate amount of time raising money. We're not talking about the issues that are confronting the country. We're not in regular order. What we're talking about is just who can make the most points and who can kind of control the airways. Rick understands these problems. Rick has put forth a blueprint. I've personally seen some of the problems that Rick had. I spent years in the California legislature dealing with the districting, which really did not allow people to have members of the California legislation and our congressional delegation, which really reflected communities of interest. They just reflected the self-interest of individuals. I worked to create an independent redistricting commission in California. I am fighting here to have, and I've introduced a bill called Let the People Draw the Line. I am proud that Congressman Nolan has picked this up and has put this in as part of his blueprint to really restore democracy in America. I am here to show support for Rick Nolan. I think this is a great step forward. Thank you.
Support for you too.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
All right. If anybody has any questions, we'll be glad to answer them. Otherwise, I want to thank everybody for being here today.
Right.
All right. Thanks, everyone. John, thanks for coming.
Oh, for you, man, yeah. And thanks to all of these people that stood up in the back.
Yeah, thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Say thanks.
Tonight? Good job.
Thank you. We'll see you tonight, I think.
Yeah, that's right. Thanks for coming. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Congressman.
Good to see you.
All right.
I sure will. Little Quang, little Hazel.
That's awesome. Thank you. Anytime you need on that,
You can have them.
Nice to meet you. I'm Debbie Goldman, CWA. You're with